I've gone through a few phases in my life where I've got semi into yoga. And the first few yoga sessions are tough because your body's like a plank of wood and just trying to touch your toes, get some getting used to. But, if you get into the groove of it, you do it for a few weeks, you start to limber up. And it is pretty fucking amazing how good just stretching and breathing in a deliberate way can make you feel. It's kind of bizarre. Like it's better than a runner's high. And therefore it feels so good where you kind of understand why people start adding in some spiritual shit, because it just seems impossible that just stretching and breathing in a certain way should be able to make you feel so elated. But it does. And people can't seem to kind of just comprehend that. So they're like, well, let's chuck in some pseudo spirituality or some actual spirituality from the past, chakras and shit, and different realms that you can reach. And yeah, it's let's I'm gonna cast some aspersions here, but that I've never yoga instructors that I put them in the category of kind of like hairdressers or bartenders. Not people who kind of dabble in those things, but like that's their career. They're all a certain type of person. Where not the most academic people, and to be clear, no judge. But it is pretty interesting when people are like talking about non-material phenomenon where it's like, holy shit. If like, for example, if I was a yoga instructor and I went to India and did all these courses and I started learning about these chakras and shit, and I thought it was real, like I would it would blow I would go fucking, you think Russell Brand's crazy? I will go completely off the deep end. I'll be one of those cunts in India who never cuts his toenails, just and lying on the side of the road, just blissed out. People dropping the occasional spoonful of lentils in my mouth. I'd go fully into it. The comedian Big J Okerson makes a similar point where he says he just can't believe people who say that they commune with spirits or ghosts and stuff, because he says like, if that happened to you, like you spoke to your dead uncle, how could you then be like, well, that was a trip talking to Uncle Terry the other night? And then you're like, well, today I got to do my tax return. Like, how could you ever flick back into regular life? And I feel a similar way in terms of the yoga instructors where they're like, yeah, I've got this new mat on Amazon. It's like a 2-inch mat as opposed to the 1.5-inch one that I had before, and a different type of foam, which is really good. Nice padding on my knees. And then they're like, all right, let's talk to Kundalini, a spirit from 5,000 years ago who's just been chilling in the city now known as Mumbai, but he's flown over to suburban Atlanta and is gonna just be chilling with us in our studio while we do some deep breaths and try not to fart. We're gonna be commuting with some fucking weird spirit thing. So I struggle to wrap my head around how people can kind of like bring old shit, old voodoo mysterious shit into the modern world. And because you have to live in the modern world, right? And like there is this kind of like this we put the past on a pedestal, and there's because we the world is fucked up, it's not perfect now. And so I understand the compulsion to look back into the past and be like, well, they probably had some shit figured out that we don't. And I guess to counter that, to play devil's advocate, is like maybe shit from the past died out because it sucked. Like, that there is this kind of, well, I don't know. I've never read this book, but I hear people talk about all the time germs, guns, and steel. Like there's been as far as I'm aware, it's like there's a few things that we invented which just kind of like bulldozes a bunch of other prior inventions because it just has such utility across the board, and it changes culture on such an extreme way where like finicky little culturally specific things just get forgotten and overlooked because they just have no utility anymore. So I think all these things are fucking interesting historically, and it's kind of fascinating to look back in terms of the belief systems that people use and yada yada yada. I'm starting to sound like a boring anthropology lecturer cunt, but you know what I mean? Like it's like walking through an old church. It's like I don't think the Father, Son, nor the Holy Spirit is in up in this bitch, but I'm having a great time looking at the fucking windows. You know, you can and just learning about how the fuck they got up there 800 years ago, just 10 cunts grabbing, you know, doing like a, you know, a massive like a rugby union scrum, but vertical. Yeah, like that's interesting to me. And yeah, but I guess it just takes a certain type of person. And you know, I'm judging here. I'm over intellectualizing it. Or maybe I'm just being like stuck in the material world, man. And maybe I should just be like, maybe I should just go along with it. There seems to have been many men over the years who've kind of like just realized that, like, look, if you just go along with the chakra bullshit, you're gonna be able to fucking dive headfirst into so much hot pussy. Like John McAfee, have you ever seen that documentary about McAfee where the one where he gets shit on by the girls eventually on that island, but prior to that, when he's kind of amassing his fortune in the States, he moves to somewhere in Colorado and he just fucks every dumb chick in town. And yoga's involved there. I think old mate Aubrey Marcus is doing a similar thing in Austin. He started like a little mini cult thing because you just got, I don't know, you just if you can kind of be that guy who can kind of look cool in a robe and just have like a broad smile on your face, then yeah, you're just gonna be surrounded by so many fucking hot limber bodies and zero critical thinking. And so if you're the one, the fucking in the what is it in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. So you know what? I think I've convinced myself. I think I'm gonna be a chakra guy and start buying into this bullshit because I think there's obviously a reason why these other dudes are doing it. So why me? Why not? I'll see you in class.